and a professional sports franchise tested 200 players.
Mm-hmm.
90% of their athletes, when they wore this non-slip Blumaka insole, ran faster. 80% stopped and started faster. And incredibly, 80% were more stable from the knee to the ground.
Today's episode is brought to you by Blumaka, the brand changing the way we move, one insanely comfortable insole at a time. If you're a runner, a walker, a teacher on your feet all day, or honestly just a tired parent trying to keep up with your life, Blumaka is the upgrade you didn't know you needed. Their eco-friendly insoles are made from high rebound, performance-driven foam that gives you soft, supportive cushioning with every step. Less stress on your feet means more energy for everything else. I've been wearing them and the difference is unreal. Comfort, stability, and durability that actually lasts. And I have a code for you. Use code TRWM. And whether you're training for a race or chasing toddlers, visit blumaka.com and feel the support you deserve. Welcome back to the Running Wine Mom podcast. I'm your host, Samantha Solinsky, aka the Running Wine Mom. Today, we're talking to someone who has literally changed the way the world moves. Stuart Jenkins isn't just an innovator, he's a visionary who has spent more than 3 decades transforming footwear and redefining performance. He's helped bring air cushion soles to the market before anyone believed in them. He championed cushioning before it was cool with HOKA. He reimagined Uggs, and today, as the founder of Blumaka, he's proving that sustainability and high performance are not opposite. They are the future. Stuart has built companies, challenged industries, and proven time and again that radical ideas are only radical until they become standard. Because when we take care of our feet, our foundation, everything above them stands taller. Today, we're going beyond running. We're talking perseverance, sustainability, and what it really means to keep believing when the world doesn't catch up yet. So without further ado, let's welcome Stuart. Welcome, Stuart.
Thank you. It's good to be with you. I'm glad you cut 2 decades off of my experience. I know you're never supposed to ask somebody their age, but it's getting close to 5. But thank you. I know I don't look a day over 65.
No, that's what I want. I thought you were much younger than, but yes, I'm so excited to talk to you. And we just had some great talking points before we even pressed record. So everyone is we have so much fun stuff to talk about that I just learned in the last couple minutes. I'm very excited for that. However, before we start on running and insoles and all that good stuff, to start each episode, we have our Whine, and Win of the Week segment. This is where we share our favorite bottle of wine, vent about something that's been bothering us, and celebrate our recent victories. So grab a glass, take a deep breath, and let's get started. So, Stuart, what is your drinking wine of the week?
You know what? I am the worst drinker in the planet. I don't think I've ever had a full glass of wine in my life.
That's okay. We do not discriminate on this podcast.
But here's my drink of choice. I brew mint tea, decaf, and then mix it with Arnold Palmer
Ooh.
from Trader Joe's. And if you see me drinking, my whole team makes fun of me because I'm a mint tea drinker, so I'm not very sophisticated. But
No,
I really want to know how people can drink wine and run as well as they do. I mean, I'm afraid that would be a little hard for me.
I had a friend one time, and I don't know if this is good or bad, but like I would post on my social media that I was out at night, like, in the summer times when I used to live down the shore in the summers. And then in the morning, I'd be up at 8 a.m. running on the beach. And he's like, I just don't understand how you're drinking and then running in the morning. Like, what is that? And I said, I don't know. It's just, it
Well,
sweats it all out. It makes me feel better.
So what was your favorite wine of the week?
So it is finally cold in Philadelphia. It's been a pretty warm fall. So I am drinking. So last night my family owns a restaurant in Philadelphia and my cousin actually makes wine, Decibel wine. And so I had a nice glass of Junta, which is my Graham's maiden name. And it's actually a chilled red wine. So it kind of is like the best transition from the warm fall to the cold fall.
Well, I live in wine country here in Santa Barbara, so it's really unfortunate that I've never learned to drink. But I'm afraid if
Yeah.
I did it might be all consuming. But I know that they have great Santa Barbara wines, and I visit
Yeah.
vineyards, but
Yeah.
never developed a palate.
It's okay. So since you have been, now with running, there's all different kinds of like electrolytes and hydration, and you have been running since prior to that kind of marketing. Like, what is your what did you like? Because I do think about it. Like when I was running in like my early 20s, like we never like even had any of that stuff. Like we just would run, drink a Gatorade maybe. Like, do you have a favorite one now, or like a hack for when you were running in the early days?
I mean, boy, I didn't think I'd be talking about myself this way, but I ran the Boston Marathon before there were mile markers and before there were aid stations.
Wow.
Yeps, I did. And you finished to a beef stew meal in the Prudential parking lot, which caused one to gag. And so, at this point in my career, I'm a old fashioned water person.
Hmm.
And what I've noticed though is that the bars you eat are good. I ran the Grand Canyon one time from rim to rim to rim in one day.
Wow. Oh my gosh.
And I took power bars with me, and I could not look at a power bar for 20 years
Oh my
because it
gosh.
made me gag. I mean, they were terrible back then. And now, they're like eating a Snickers or something. And
Right. It's
so
like a dessert.
I've really noticed that these Cliff Bars and things like that have come so far, but honestly, I'm not running far enough now. And when I go out on the trails, I will take water, but I really haven't got into I'm not running far enough to be that sophisticated with my
Hmm.
drink choices these days. I do know you need
Yeah.
to stay hydrated, but
But it's
those long
refreshing to
distances are
hear
behind me.
that. Yeah, it's refreshing to hear that though, that water is just as helpful with it. Because I do think people kind of sometimes like overthink that stuff. And it's like, well, just get back to the basics.
Yeah, and I don't mean to be snooty, but I sometimes see people running a 3 or 4 mile run with bottles of water, and I'm thinking, do you realize you can't process water that fast? I remember in the
Yeah.
marathon, our coaches said when you got to 20 miles, stop drinking because you're never going to be able to process that water in those last 6 miles. And
Wow.
I guess it depends on how fast you're running, but
Hmm.
I never drank in a marathon after 20 miles, ever.
Wow. Oh my gosh. I'm trying to think. I think I was at mile 20. It was when I started crying because I saw my parents. And I
There
definitely, so I had some tears, water, and regular water too.
Well, there's a lot of reasons to cry at mile 20. I remember he was an Olympic track coach, Ted Hayden, University of Chicago, helped me. And he said, now remember, Stuart, there are two halves to a marathon, first 20 miles and the last six.
Yes, and that is, I mean, I truly align with that for sure. So what is your complaint wine of the week?
My complaint wine of the week, I would say it's still, I built a factory in Asia because that's where the waste foam from the athletic footwear industry and tariffs are continuing to cost my company tens of thousands of dollars. It's cost us one job, and it's just difficult to navigate a uncertain environment when your costs are going up. And we've had our costs go up because of tariffs
Hmm.
over 100%, and then come down,
Wow.
and they come down to 50, and so it's just a challenging environment to know how to plan.
Yeah.
So I'd like to whine
That must,
about that.
yeah, that's definitely wineable. And so what's your win of the week?
My win of the week, I can't believe you asked me. We create,
I
thank
might
you.
know what it is.
We created at Blumaka, one of our brands that we own is Flex, and it's
Hmm.
an in-house brand, and it's made with this recycled material. This is a salvaged sheepskin, salvaged leather. So we're using what other people waste. And guess who named it one of her favorite things? Oprah
Yeah,
Winfrey. And this right in here, I have to do it. Look
you
at
have
that.
to.
Inside front cover, right in the content page, is all of our product. We call it the San Ysidro slide. And it was people say, well, how did this happen? She literally found it on her own. The request to us came in through our help desk on the computer.
My
And
gosh.
so to have Flex named as one of Oprah's favorite things is a real blessing for us because it really highlights that you can make something that is recycled, has recycled materials, sustainable materials, repurposed materials. And, you can tell I'm not a fashionista, but I think it's beautiful. I think it's
It is.
fashionable. I know it's comfortable. It's kind of like the collision of a running shoe and an Ugg boot. It's got arch support and foot shape, heel cup. And so this is a big win for a little teeny company. And I'm so proud of my team here. Leah Larson, she used to be the VP of design and merchandising at UGG. And I think this is the 5th product that she's created that Oprah has selected as her favorite thing. 5.
Oh my
So
gosh.
I told Leah that after 1 or 2, it probably wasn't luck.
Yeah. Yes, I agree. When you saw those created, like, was that even, like, on your radar of these are gonna be on Oprah's favorite things?
Well, of course, Leah is the one that envisioned it, designed it,
Mhm,
created it. But and I think this is important for runners because it talks about goals and purpose.
mhm.
You know, my goal when I was a freshman in high school was to run the Olympic trials and the marathon, and I made that happen. When Leah was designing this, and still, if you went in her office, she has a vision board.
Oh, I
And
love
in the
that.
middle of that vision board is Oprah Winfrey.
How cool. That's so
And
cool.
I told you that, and I just got goosebumps.
I know, I'm
So
like
I mean, you can't make this stuff up. And the fact that she had that on her vision board and she designed this product. I don't know that there's ever been this brand has only been out for about 17 months. I'm not
okay.
sure that any brand that's that young has ever been featured. And you're in Philadelphia, right?
Yes.
So we also did a collaboration. There's a great company in Philadelphia called Free People.
Mhm,
And
love free people.
we did a collaboration, again, real sheepskin, but salvaged, recycled content here. And you know, they had fun, but Free People also did some really wild
I love
colors.
that color. That's like
And
a
look at this, gets better.
oh, wow. Oh my gosh, I love that color combo too. That's beautiful.
And these are, you know, they're supportive of your feet. They're great
Right.
recovery products. But Leah, of course, you know, she will wear them to a wedding. She'll wear them to a, you know, she'll dress this up in black and she'll wear it to a wedding or out at night or as slippers. So, but the
Yeah, but
fact that
they're yeah,
Oprah
you
found our brand is it's just hard to describe when you're, you know, we've been fighting a tough battle with tariffs, as I said, and it
mhm.
just felt like you couldn't get a win. And this feels like a real win. And Leah and the
Yes, it is a
team
real win.
deserve it. Yeah. Yeah.
That's great. Congratulations. I am so excited for someone that I just met 2 minutes ago. You know, that's amazing.
Well, it's really nice. And
Yeah.
Little's, I think Little's in Pittsburgh, which is out your way. I know it's not Philly. They carry our products.
Okay, that's great. Yeah. Yeah, Free People is huge around our area. They have great quality clothing and shoes as well. I'm like I don't know that I've ever had their shoes, but now I know to go in and check them out. So the next part I usually ask about fitness and staying active, but you have such a bigger story. Being the running wine mom, we're going to talk about how did your running journey begin and maybe talk about some highlights of your career and running the Boston Marathon and the Olympic trials and all of that. Let us hear it.
Well, I grew up on a on a cattle ranch in central Nebraska, near Broken Bow, Nebraska. My high school only had 100 people in it.
Wow.
And my mother thought I needed to get a little diversity, and I was dyslexic. So she sent me to the boarding school she'd gone to in St. Louis. And of
Okay.
course, if you're from Nebraska, you think the only sport there is football and spring
Right.
practice. And I was pretty small, and I went out for track, and I found I had an aptitude for that, and we had a great coach. And so I started running, and I ran first cross country meet I ever knew how to score. I was in.
Okay.
And I wasn't fast. My brother was fast, but I was good at distance. And I went home to train that summer between my freshman and sophomore year. And I said to myself, you know, I think anybody that works hard and is dedicated can qualify for the Olympic trials and the marathon. Now, why I
Hmm.
decided that that was a goal when I was 13, 14 years old, but for every day thereafter, I got up and ran. I didn't miss a day of running for 22 years in a row after that.
Wow. Oh my
I,
goodness. That's huge commitment.
By the time I got to the Boston Marathon where I was trying to qualify,
Mhm.
I looked at my training log, and I still have it, and it sits right on my desk in my home office, and I look at it every once in a while. The day before the Boston Marathon, where I could qualify, I looked down and I had run 26,083 miles. So that's 1,000 miles of training for every
Wow.
mile of that race. And that gave
Right.
me confidence. And then I ran in that race, and I knew I had to run a PR
Mhm.
to qualify for the Olympic trials.
Mm.
The qualifying time was 2:21:04, and
Mhm.
I ran 2:21 flat. I
Wow.
qualified by 4 seconds.
Hey, it's qualified, right?
It's qualified, nobody's asking. But it has been very important for me to think of that because I asked myself, "Well, what day could I have afforded to skip? When
Right.
should I have gone to the beach and just said, 'No, I've done
Mhm.
enough?' Or what mile of those 26,000 miles should I have not run?" And
Right.
I think for me, it showed that dedication and commitment and hard work and steadfastness. I think you can kind of underestimate what you can do in 8 years, and you always overestimate what you can do in terms of fitness and conditioning in 30 days.
Yeah, for sure.
And so that's been a lifelong lesson. Just stay at it, stay at it. It's the Malcolm Gladwell or Beatles 1,000 hour rule. So I ran
Right.
220. I ran 219 flat. I would say on the other side of that, I still think I would get a lot of attention for qualifying for the Olympic trials. And I don't think I would be any different of a person if I'd run 5 seconds slower, because the important thing was when I finished that race, I knew I had run the very best race I could run in my life. And
Right.
in that sense, the Olympic trials was a little bit of a mental challenge because I really didn't know if I could run that well again. We went to Buffalo and we had headwinds, and I think there was only one person that had a PR, but I was seeded 197 at the Olympic trials and finished 90th.
Wow, that's great. That's amazing.
I'd say the Grand Canyon was another highlight, rim to rim to rim. And of course, the camaraderie. I'm still good friends with guys I ran high school cross country with. They're some of my best
Cool.
friends.
What's the longest mileage in one, like, run that you've done?
The Grand Canyon, 48
Yeah.
miles.
Okay, that's wow, that's awesome.
I
Gosh, I
was
can't
I
imagine that.
I really got out of it before the ultras came in,
Mhm.
but yeah, I mean that was a hard event. Of course, you had what, something like 30,000 vertical feet.
Yeah, I'm sure. That's definitely not an easy thing, even if it was less than 40. Even if it was a quarter of that, I feel like it's still really difficult.
It
What was your
was.
favorite run race that you ran?
The Boston Marathon, hands down. I mean,
Mhm.
to me, it's the Super Bowl of running. Placed 37th at the Boston Marathon, and the fan support and the knowledge that they had about the race was
Mhm.
incredible. And for whatever reason, I ran 5 PRs at Boston, negative split every time I ran it. It was a race that I think set up well for somebody that was not fast. I was strong,
Mhm.
and so I could get through the hills and still go where the hills beat up a lot of people. So,
Mhm.
uh, to me, there's nothing like the Boston Marathon. I just love it, and I love the entire experience.
Yeah. So, in running, how do you feel as though that contributes to your mental health?
At this point in my life, I think I I think that running. I don't know that I would know how to live properly without running. I get more work done on a 3 mile run than I can get done in this office in a whole day, and that's
Mhm.
true because I think you process information. Since I don't compete, I have never run for fitness since I stopped competing, but I
Mhm.
have run for a sense of peace, a sense of dominion, a sense of calm, a sense of joy. So I think that running allows one to be the person that you would most like to be the rest of the day.
Right. Yeah.
And and I don't think you can go for a run and express anger and hatred or vitriol. And I also think in the very best way, you're able to value yourself, not in a egotistical way, but just it is a 30 or 40-minute demonstration to yourself, of yourself, by yourself, for yourself. And that self care, I guess is the modern word, that time alone is important. There's no one respect more than mothers, but I think that mothers I would think that as a mother, it would be a particularly important thing to get away and care for yourself because
Mhm.
everybody else is always pulling at you. And I don't have those kinds of pressures, but the fact of the matter is if you don't take care of yourself at some portion of the day, nobody else will.
Right.
And you
Yeah.
you really can't serve others if you haven't cared for yourself. And I think I'm a better person because I run. My wife would say you should run a hell of a lot more. I think that that's true.
No, I totally agree. And I was actually just having this conversation about how a lot of times moms feel guilt and about, taking time for themselves. And I honestly really do not ever feel that way when it comes to working out because I know what it like means to me. And I never realized that how much my mom prioritized running and working out until literally like I mean I knew she always did, but last night when I was having this conversation I'm like I feel like maybe that's why I don't feel that way because my mom always showed me like this is very important in motherhood and it's going to make me a better person. And so I just thought, well, this is what you're supposed to do as mom. And,
Well,
I wish more people understood that.
well, let me share a quote from my track coach. And Jack Irely was a pianist and an intellectual. And he would always say to us, he'd say, boys, and we were high school boys, he'd say, I want you to live like you want to run and run like you want to live.
Hmm.
And
Yeah.
that sounds like, whoa. So if you want to be consistent, huh, run with consistency. If you want to be compassion, run with compassion. And I
Love
loved
that.
how he connected this idea of how you run, practice how you run, how you want to live.
Go ahead.
Practice living the way you want to run. You can't blow up at home if you want to run with patience.
Right. Yeah. I totally agree with that. I think that's great advice. So let's get into your brand and your company. So you are the founder of Blumaka. So can you explain what that is? What does it mean? And what is your goal for the brand?
Well, thank you. Yeah, Blumaka. As I said, I grew up on a cattle ranch in Nebraska. Blue is for blue sky, blue water, because we're really in the recycling business, and I'll explain that in
Hmm.
a sec. And Maka is the Native American word in Nebraska for earth. So our brand name means blue earth. In Hawaii, Maka means beloved one, so we're blue beloved one. But my passion for running really got me into this business because I love running. Running shoes, nothing. I mean, what's my drug of choice? Opening a new box of running shoes and smelling the glue.
Smelling
I
it.
love it.
As you said that, I literally
Yeah.
I got the scent.
And when you go over and make shoes in Asia, as I've been doing for a long time, you just love to see these pristine shoes come off the line. And, when you're at the running store, you don't realize they're really handcrafted still.
Hmm. Yeah.
But you walk out of the back of the factory, and this is what I've found. Can you see what that is?
Yeah. It looks like shoe prints, sort of. Yeah. Or
Yeah,
like
so they
feet prints.
this is foam. This is what
Oh, and that's
cushions
from
your
you.
shoe,
Yeah.
and they cut this shoes out. This is the waste. So this is beautiful foam that they cut out to make a great shoe.
Okay.
But this is what's wasted.
Wow, that's a lot.
And I would walk behind shoe factories and I would see piles of this that were bigger than the building.
Yeah,
And I got to thinking, I don't want to show my children that I'm doing this. It's like
right,
saying, hey, I'm the proprietor of the garbage dump.
right,
Well, that's not too cool. And yet I love shoes. And
right.
I've bought enough of them and worn enough of them to fill a semi truck. So I'm the problem. And I got to thinking, well, if this is such great foam and such good building such great product, it's either a problem or a solution. And we said,
Hmm.
how do we take this foam and transmogrify it into other products that are great? And what we found is, we have made insoles, aftermarket insoles that you can find in running stores, um, like this, and
Hmm.
it's made 85% of the foam in here. We grind up that
Wow.
skeleton that I just showed you, and
Okay.
it's in our product. And even when we looked at the Flex product a minute ago, you
Right.
can see it right in here.
Yeah, you can.
But here's the magic of our insoles. The insoles that come in your running shoes, Samantha, will fail to provide cushioning in somewhere between 5 and 25 miles.
Wow. I mean, 5 is not a lot. 5 miles is like,
They're the
one
cheapest thing
day.
in. You got $200 running shoes and you got 70-cent insoles that fail. And so our
Wow.
insoles with this recycled content, it's
Mhm.
not about being recycled. You shouldn't buy this because it's recycled. You should buy it because it's better. And so we test our cushioning and we guarantee it for over 1,000 miles.
Wow.
I
That
have a
is
woman in Colorado that ran 1,473 miles. We brought them back, tested them, and we still were maintaining cushioning. Here's an insole from a
wow.
265-pound marathoner. He took me up on the challenge and said, "Hey, I've circled a couple areas where I think the cushioning is you're losing it." 265-pound runner, 800 miles Stravad. I took it to the testing lab. That's the black dot, and
Okay.
we had maintained 93% of our cushioning.
Wow.
And so taking this, what was trash, and we're building
Yeah.
wonderful brand new products out of it. We're doing that. I don't know if you've heard of the running brand Rabbit, but
Mhm.
Rabbit, they've built a great new trail shoe. We
Okay.
make an insole for them, and comes right in this shoe. Same idea. For those people that are into casual footwear, I know this is a running podcast, but here's an Allbirds shoe where we made the
Okay.
cushioning element. This is called the
Wow.
Allbirds Remix. So our business is really designed to take what was waste and make high performing products, meaning products that provide a lot of cushioning that last a long time. And you'll be wearing our insoles soon, and I think you
Yeah,
will
I
find
can't wait.
the difference because and if it's not what I say, don't run the podcast. And I really mean that because we wouldn't, but so far
Yeah.
we got 1,000 professional athletes buying our insoles. We're not paying them to wear it. We're not big enough to pay
Wow.
them to wear it. And that's pretty cool, right?
That's awesome. And so for someone listening who is maybe like, okay, I hear about insoles, like I hear cushioning is good. What is it actually doing? If I bought the shoe, shouldn't the shoe be enough? Why do I need the insole? What would you tell them?
Well, I think I have to say the hard thing here is, and I've been on the other end of this making shoes, but the last thing designed into your performance running shoe is your insole. And the first thing they do to cut costs is to cheapen up the insole. The
Hmm.
insole in your $250 running shoe probably is costing 70 cents, and it really is just a filler.
Hmm.
It would be like Mercedes deciding to put in wood benches instead of a leather seat in your car. And the fact that that insole is 5 millimeters thick and goes flat or fails within 5 to 25 miles means that
Crazy.
the cushioning that you felt in the running store is going to change by somewhere around 15% within 5 to 20 miles because that insole goes flat. So it's
Hmm.
really like empty calories.
Hmm.
And unfortunately, the running brands or the shoe brands can get away with it, but it's filling your bag or your food tray with something that has no nutritious nutrition, and it looks like food or it looks like cushioning, but it's not. And
Hmm.
so the number one thing running shoes should do is protect your body. 5 millimeters, even when you have a stack height that's 35 or 40 millimeters, 5 millimeters on top of that is important. And
Right.
so when you're on pavement and you're on hard surfaces, my view is that you can't afford to have 5 millimeters of empty calories in your shoes, or at least you would be better off with it. And by the way, with our insole, it should last you through, I would say, at least 5 pair of shoes. Depending on how many miles you put on your shoes, I recommend people not run more than 200 miles on their shoes. But if it's 250, then our insole will last through 5 pairs of shoes. Just had a pickleball player. He's gone through 10 pair of shoes and 7,700 pickleball matches in one insole.
Wow. That's amazing. That is.
We had a professional baseball player went 2 full seasons. He called me and said, "Stuart, you got a hell of a problem." He said, "I normally go through 4 insoles a season, and I've worn yours for 2 years. Nobody's going to buy a second pair."
That's
True
what
story.
that was gonna be my next question. Like, I mean, I know you want the customers to come back, but when you have such a good product, like, how do you kind of balance that knowing that you want such a good product out there and saying, "Well, I want to continue to bring in the revenue."
I just do what my mama told me. She said, "Do the right thing every time."
I
And
love that.
I give absolutely zero thought to making a product that will fail sooner. I will build these things. If I could build them to be 2,000 miles, I would. And by the way, the
Mhm.
number one element of sustainability is durability of cushioning. So I, I, the most important thing I can do is make a product that lasts long. And Samantha, I know runners. I know you've got 15 pair of shoes in your closet, and I just
I
want you to
do.
buy an insole for every pair.
Yeah, that's true. Yes, yes. I'm like, yes. My husband's like, "Are you gonna get rid of these yet?" I'm like, "But I love them. I can still wear them. Just maybe not
Well,
running. I'll walk around with them."
somebody asked me how many shoes I have in my garage right now, and I lost count at 120.
Oh my gosh. That's like, my mom, once we moved out, our rooms were now like the sneaker rooms. She has them filled with her running sneakers. And it's just, that's so we're all the same. But one of the reasons I know your product works is because Philadelphia Eagles players wear them, as you were saying earlier. So that's pretty cool too.
It is cool. Half of the NFL teams have bought our product, and I can say this publicly because he's said it. We love Jalix Hunt, the
Hmm.
linebacker. Had a big
Hmm.
sack the other night on Monday Night Football. He started wearing them down at, I think it was Houston Baptist College, and he found them,
Okay.
and he feels that it helped him in the combine. And he is such a great young man, and we love it when those guys buy our product. But, for a little teeny brand to be purchased by, I think it's about half of the NFL teams is cool. And of course, they don't care whether it's sustainable or recycled.
Right.
They'd wear plutonium if it helped them win. But
Right.
the fact that we have this, one of the things we haven't talked about is that we have developed this non-slip insole, and I really invented this for trail running.
Okay.
You can kind of see, let me show you. So see this surface? So here's,
Yeah.
this one has fabric on it. That's how most
Okay.
insoles are made.
Right.
And this one it doesn't have a fabric cloth, and it's a
Okay.
non-slip surface. So it's kind of funky, but I was trail running up here in Santa Barbara, and you might have noticed we've already joked about my age, but you know, you run hard downhill. What happens to your toes?
Yeah, they go to the front of the shoe.
So if you're going uphill, do you think they're going to the back of the shoe? Sure.
I mean, yeah, I guess. Yeah.
If you're trying to go uphill and you're sliding to the back of your shoe, is that an efficient way to go up the hill? No. And so if you think about a regular fabric insole and your foot slides like this
Mhm.
is just my hand puppet, but so your foot slides on your insole because your sock and your insole are fabric and they have the same
Right.
coefficient of friction.
Uh-huh.
Now, if you're pushing off and trying to run fast, think about doing that in your gym floor in your stocking
Right.
feet. You're going to spin like Wile E. Coyote.
Right.
But if you take a step and you slip back a quarter of an inch with every
Okay.
step, it's 13 yards a mile.
Wow.
It's 200 yards in a marathon. And
Wow. That's a big deal.
on a side, I thought it was. I qualified by
Yeah.
4 seconds, so I care.
Yeah.
But when you on a side hill, I found that my shoe would stop, the
Mhm.
traction stopped, the then my foot would slide to the edge, and then I didn't know if my ankle was going to roll over, my knee was going to pop. And that annoyed me because until all of that motion up my kinetic change stopped, I couldn't go up the hill. And so I developed this what we call the non-slip technology. So
Okay.
now when I put my sock on here, and I'm not faking this, it sticks.
Right.
And so and when I plant and go sideways, and this is what the NFL and those guys are buying. This is what
Are
we
buying, yeah.
developed. We developed for the Rabbit trail shoes. Same thing.
Mhm. Okay.
And a professional sports franchise tested 200 players.
Mhm.
90% of their athletes, when they wore this non-slip Blumaka insole, ran faster. 80% stopped and started faster, and incredibly, 80% were more stable from the knee to the ground.
That's huge.
Stability, yes, stability is a reducing risk. So we have the regular comfort insoles with cushioning and arch support and all of that. And then we have this non-slip that is really proprietary that we invented, and that's what's gotten so much attention in the trail running community, but also in the performance athletic
Yeah.
venue.
Yeah, and that is such a change in, just like you said, like with injury prevention, and that's really important, and I don't know anyone else who has that on the market. I don't know, maybe there is, but I feel
We
like
haven't seen it. I hope
yeah.
there isn't for a while. But
Yeah.
it does, when you put it on, it's a piece of equipment, so you can't just leave your laces tied. You gotta make sure when you put it on that your sock is flat. And it'll take
Mhm.
you 4 or 5 times putting it on where you kinda jiggle your foot in, and then you
Mhm.
do it. But you have a locked-in sensation that you won't believe, and, there's no flat trail in the world.
Right.
I will say I've gotten so used to it now, I'll even take my daughter's dog for a walk, and I can't stand shoes that allow my feet to slip around. Alls I can feel is my toes
Right.
sliding down at the end, and it drives me nuts.
You're like
Now,
hyper focused on it now that you know that you can live without it, you know?
yeah, one pro team though, I mean, there's people that don't like it. They just feel too connected.
Yeah.
One pro baseball team says, "Well, I have 10 pitchers, and Stuart, the good news is 9 of them love it, but one of them hates it."
That's like, the dentist. 4 out of 5 dentists,
Yeah. Never thought of that. But
Yeah,
it's
recommend this
nine
toothpaste.
it's 90%, and so I think, I've really been blessed that running has provided a career path, right? I
Mhm.
My brother runs our family cattle ranch in Nebraska, and I was around the corner the other day in the shop. I was home visiting, and one of the neighbors came over and says, "Jim, what does your brother do?" And my brother goes, "Well, apparently if you have and he does just like this motion, he goes, apparently if you know a lot about footwear cushioning, somebody will pay you to do that."
Listen, you found a problem and you solved it. Like, that is
Yeah.
what, entrepreneurship, I feel like, is all about, right?
And I get to be around the running community
Yeah.
and running shoes every day of my
Yeah.
life, and I get to smell that new shoe smell every day.
Yeah. Nothing like it. So when you were starting your company, I think I read that was it 94 companies had said no to your first air sole idea before Reebok said yes?
Yeah, and in fact, I don't know if
Yeah.
you can see it right over my head. This is the
Yeah.
let me just grab it. This was the air shoe.
Okay. All right.
So we put air here and
Yeah.
ran it through a channel to here. And
Okay.
yeah, I started trying to sell that when I was 18 years old for this
Wow.
inventor and mentor. And I went to 94 shoe companies.
Wow.
Never forget sitting with the president of Converse the day after Nike signed up Michael Jordan, and he was telling me how that would never work out for Nike.
Right.
But but you learn in that experience, Samantha, that you need to be respectful of experts, but
Mhm.
experts sometimes have too much experience the old way.
Yes.
And they were laughing, and this was before the Nike Air shoe was out.
Mhm.
And, why would you ever put air in shoes? What happens when you get a flat? Ha ha ha, you're going to get a blowout. Are you going to have gas stations along the course? And so 94 shoe companies rejected that idea. And I believed that it was a good idea because I was experiencing it. And it has given me a healthy respect for persistence. But
Mhm.
again, think about the fact that I ran every day for 8 years or 26,000
Yeah.
miles to achieve my goal. Trying to
Right.
sell something for 8 years, my feet weren't blistering, I wasn't sweating,
Right.
I didn't feel like I was gonna have a heart attack. It was it was rejection was easy compared to training.
Right, exactly. Yeah, so what did keep you going after maybe the first couple, you're like, "Okay, maybe by the 10th," or once you got to 50, you're like, "Okay, how many more am I going to go through?" Like, just, believing in the product is so important.
Well, it kinda reminds me of my 8th grade dance. I think every girl in town said no, but I didn't stop asking. I don't know the answer to that.
Yeah,
Because it can just be a folly at some point, and I've said,
yeah.
I wish I knew the line of demarcation between professional persistence and stupid stubbornness, and yet I
There's
was
not a big difference of it, you know?
yeah, but I was wearing the product, and I could feel it,
Yeah,
and I knew the experience, and I just had this abiding belief that if given an opportunity on the market, it would do well. And I was young and dumb, was making a living doing other things at some points, sort of using it as a side hustle, but I couldn't get it out of my mind. And
yeah.
I think that if you're going to innovate, you have to be prepared for rejection,
Mhm.
but you also have to deal with reality. And I mean,
Right,
I sit here and we thought this was a really cute, fashionable, good-looking shoe
right,
for the last year. Now we've got a heck of a lot more attention now that Oprah thinks it's a cute, fashionable thing
right.
than we did before. Why did we believe that?
Mhm,
Well, we experienced it. We know the market, but
mhm.
guys, I don't have an answer for you. Because I've seen people take ideas and just run themselves into the ground, and sometimes you need a little good fortune. I mean, I qualified for the Olympic trials by 4 seconds.
Right,
What if Oprah hadn't picked this up last week?
right.
But, you work hard for a long enough period of time, and I think that you will make the breaks.
Yeah, a lot of hard work and a little bit of luck, right? Is that what they say, I think? So when you finally got the yes, like, what were you feeling? Were you like, "Wait, what did you say? Did you"
Well, it's kinda like it's an out of body experience.
Right,
And it very much it's like when we got the call that said Oprah was gonna name us as part of one of her favorite things this year. It's like your feet are firmly suspended in midair.
right.
And then, of course, you're waiting to see what happens next. It was such a process and such back and forth that it was just one of those winning moments. And
Yeah,
I'll tell you how it felt. How does it feel when you cross the finish line with your PR? That's
yeah,
exactly what it felt like.
right. Yeah, that's a distinct feeling, and that's amazing. So if your journey were a shoe model name, what do you think it would be called?
My journey were a shoe model. Plunger.
Plunger, okay. Why do you choose that?
Well, I think a plunger means you go ahead.
Mhm,
It means that you dive in. You're ready
mhm,
for whatever confronts you. Uh, it feels it feels robust and cushiony. It feels
mhm.
plush. Feels like there's a lot of cushion, and I'm a comfort pig. Um, It feels brave.
Yeah, I love that. That's
What would your
awesome.
shoe model be?
Oh gosh, mine would be, let me think about this for a second. I think
Question, by
I
the way.
would say chaos would be my shoe name because I feel like that's what I am constantly the chaos shoe. You can do it all, but
Yeah.
it's just going to feel a little chaotic with it.
What color would it be?
Oh, it would be like a hot pink or like a fluorescent pink, a bright color for sure. How about you?
Mine would be colorful because I'm a product
Yeah.
of the '70s, and I love
Yeah.
those. It would be neons, mixed and matched neons for sure. The
Yeah.
brighter, the better.
Yes.
I mean,
Yeah.
my go-to shoe in the day was the Nike LDV
Yeah.
canary yellow with the
I love
blue
it.
swoosh.
Yeah.
Loved that shoe, and I still have a version of that shoe.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think the Nike LDV would have been my color scheme, or something even brighter.
Yeah. I know
My
when
my
I
my
like
kids laugh.
no, I'm bright all the time, and when I had my daughter, the big thing in the mom world was the boring beige. Everything was a neutral color, and I was like same thing with, like, Christmas, it was, like, the white lights, and I'm like, This is not me. I'm doing bright" yeah, yeah, like, there we go.
It's in your
Those are
future.
perfect for yeah, they're perfect for Eagles games too. They could be
Yeah,
a greenish.
yeah.
I love it. Um,
And if you want, we can set up where we have a discount for your people, like a
okay.
25% discount, and
Yeah. That'll be
we can
awesome.
we
Yeah.
can also do an affiliate code for you or something, but it's blumaka.com,
Okay.
Blumaka.
Yeah.
And then if they want to look at Flex Footwear, it's FLEKS footwear.com.
All right. So you have given us such a great insight into your journey and into running. And I know I learned a lot from this. But if you could whisper one belief into the ear of every young creator, engineer, dreamer, or runner, what would it be?
Seek to solve a big problem, and seek to solve that problem in a way that is fiercely independent and boldly collaborative. Don't
Mm,
give up on your idea, but seek the best idea. And I think that the best motivation you can have to start a company or launch an idea is to try to solve a problem that needs to be solved.
hmm
Trying to get rich. If you're trying to get rich, go sell stocks and bonds and trade money. Don't make a product. But if you really want to do something for the world, solve a problem, and if that doesn't motivate you, don't do it.
right. Well, that's perfect. I love that. That's a great way to end it, I think. So that's going to bring us to the end of another episode of The Running Wine Mom. And if you're listening right now, I hope that you feel what I'm feeling, which is inspired to rethink what is possible. So whether you're building a company, building a family, or building your next chapter, there's something unmistakably powerful about refusing to settle for the way things are. Stuart, you reminded us that real innovation isn't loud, it is consistent, curious, and relentless. It's seeing value where often others see waste. It's choosing progress over perfection, purpose over comfort, and sustainability over shortcuts. Maybe the lesson here isn't just about footwear, but maybe it's about life. Be willing to take the first step, be willing to fail, be willing to believe before others do. And remember, every marathon, every dream, every reinvention starts in the same place, one brave step forward. So thank you, Stuart, for reminding us that to keep stepping boldly, thoughtfully, and sustainably into the future. Thank you.
You're most welcome. And remember, there is no finish line.
I love that. As always, thank you so much for spending time with us today on The Running Wine Mom. Don't forget to subscribe, leave a review, and share this episode with someone who needs to hear it. You can follow me on Instagram at the running wine mom _ and Stuart. Tell the listeners where they can find you and all your amazing products.
You can go to blumaka.com, Blumaka, and then flexfootwear.com, and it's FLEKS footwear.com.
Awesome. And I will link all of that. So thank you so much for joining us today. Remember, you are strong, you are capable, and you are all amazing. Until next time, keep running, keep sipping, and keep embracing the joy of parenthood. Cheers, and I will be back next Tuesday.